it's it's weird. It just doesn't really happen that people leave and they end up on a farm and stuff. Um, but it was an opportunity, and I felt like that's something that should be afforded to everyone, you know. And I would always think like, why are there people who can't afford good food, and why don't the food pantries have
Yeah.
nutrient
Yeah.
dense or organic food? Why, you
Okay.
know?
Isaiah,
So
I'm gonna stop you because you're going on the vision rant, and I find that it's usually a tactic to change the subject. Why are you trying to start an organization that's going to take up all your time doing paperwork when it sounds like you really just want to like help people through gardening? Like why? What's this nonprofit going to do that Seeds of Hope isn't doing, or that the LA Compost, or I mean, I'm sure there's some community garden network in LA that's already got set up with a 501c3 that you could just start community gardens under.
hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, other than just wanting to be directly plugged in with community and with people,
Mm-hmm. Are you going to be directly plugged into community with people if you're sitting in an office doing paperwork all day? Because that's what you're setting yourself up for.
I don't honestly, I don't. I mean, I know there's a lot to do, but I think, you know, through, for example, I found an amazing cohort. Um, it's through Mockingbird Analytics here in LA.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually it's nationwide. It's even like international. I
Mm-hmm.
got people from all over the world or from all over the country um, in this course, and it's
Uh-huh.
just been the most amazing. Because I always think like, how can I do more with less time? You know,
Mm-hmm.
because I was a single parent 50% of the time for like 4 years, like three kids, you know. And so it was really difficult trying to run this farm with, you know, even having the kids half time because they've got to go to school, you got to pack all their lunches, you
Uh-huh.
got to take them to their events. So I always think in terms of, I guess, you know, working in tech has done that for me. How can I hack this process? How can I hack my time and spend have the most impact with the less amount of time?
Mm-hmm.
One thing this cohort, for example, has really been able to help me with is that it streamlines all that stuff. And so they take you through all the steps of starting a nonprofit and you know, your board and all that crazy paperwork. You're pretty much getting it out of the way so that you can
Mm-hmm.
focus on what you love and what you do best, you know. And so they really take that burden off of you through this cohort.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, you know, your accountability partners and your classmates that you work together with. You're connecting, you're cultivating your nonprofits
Mm-hmm.
that um, um, they're kind of all working for different causes, but in the end it's, you know, the love of people. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I don't know, part of me feels like um, I'm gonna lay this foundation and architect the this whole foundation so that we can leverage volunteers and people who love doing accounting, contracting, policy work, paperwork. You know, they have a niche to do those things, can jump in as volunteers and help facilitate that, while the boots on the ground can have the shovels and do the digging and the
Yeah.
seed planting and the
Yeah.
cultivation.
I mean, I find there's
It's
not a
all
lot of people out there who love doing paperwork enough to volunteer to do it for free. You're probably going to end up paying somebody to do that, just like all of the other nonprofits are already paying for somebody to do
yeah.
that. And I guarantee you it's going to take a lot less time and work for somebody who's already sitting there in an office doing it all day to do it than
Than for
you
me
or
to
someone
learn.
else. Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've already tried that route. It is yeah, it's I don't believe in trying to wear every single hat or being the person in charge
Uh huh.
and stuff, but I do believe in like delegating and or team working on things that, you know, being able to admit when I just don't have it. I can't learn this. It's not
Mm-hmm.
something that
Right.
is going to be beneficial for me to learn this when I can be focusing on getting all our fall starts
Mm-hmm.
planted, you
Right.
know.
So why are you setting yourself up to be the person in charge of doing all that work?
Because I think it's a pain point that's only temporary. It's temporary until just the ball gets rolling. We, you know,
Mm-hmm.
get hopefully some some funding or
Mhm.
some grant, or I can put more of my personal resources into it. I feel like it's just a temporary sacrifice until
Yeah.
we
I,
can
I
get
don't
that.
think that's true. I think it's an ongoing job that's going to be somebody's job. And unless you're going to fundraise enough money to hire somebody, which you're going to have to be really good at grant writing or fundraising in order to do, and which is going to take a lot of time and work. And then you got to apply for more grants, and that's a full-time job. Like just keeping up with the paperwork, including grants. Grants are a huge amount of paperwork, both writing them, keeping up with them, tracking everything. You got to submit everything. Same is true with just 501c3 donations. You got to track it all. You got to submit it to the government. You got to do all the taxes for that. I mean, do you really want to be doing taxes for a 501c3 for the next 10 years or paying somebody to do that when you could just be out in the garden not worrying about it?
Well, yes and no.
Uh-huh.
Yes and no. Yeah. I mean, I, I don't know. I feel like the nonprofit structure, I feel like it calls to me more. Like it may not be as profitable or as easy, but you know, everything is going back into the original cause versus a
Mm-hmm.
business where everything is really is more so profit driven. But to some extent, it has to be profit driven, right, to be regenerative and to continue. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's a very contemplating question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you mentioned something there for a second um, about like owning a farm with a nonprofit. So I wonder if you wanted the nonprofit to own property, if that was a part of it. And I don't know how many other organizations are out there who do that sort of thing. Um, could you clarify what you were talking about there?
Hmm. Um, I don't. In terms of owning land, I mean, I think if the opportunity presented itself, yeah, that would be great because then different things can, uh, you can use the land for different things that, support the mission, the overall mission of the nonprofit. But I also, yeah, I mean, I'm not completely sold on owning land because I see, there's an abundance of land out there, and there may even be, a lot of people who want to do land leases or who want to donate land, temporarily for the purpose of community efforts. Um, so yeah, definitely some options there.
Okay, so I have some homework with you on uh, this point, which
Mhm.
is to do more research on these other organizations, or if you can find like some organizations that are doing even more close to what you're doing, like who's doing the most close work to what you're trying to do,
Mhm.
find out exactly what they're doing, how they're doing it. Consider if there's something you want to do differently,
Mhm.
and then if you can even find out anything about like how many people they have involved, how many customers or participants they have or members, how what their income is, how much they're fundraising or making off of their operations, or any information about their profitability, like you could talk to somebody in the organization if they'd be willing to have a conversation with you and
Mhm.
gather information. And just yeah, gather the information so you can ask yourself this question, like, is there another organization out there that has a 501 that you could just partner with? And you wouldn't have to let go of your vision. You could still do things exactly the way you want to. You just wouldn't have to do all that paperwork
Mhm.
with the nonprofit. And then they could also maybe already have some grants or fundraising going on that you could use some of that, or yeah, just partnering with them more closely, or
Mhm.
just using them as a fiscal sponsor.
Mhm. Yeah, sure.
Because yeah, I mean, I talk to people like you all the time. I mean, I'm being a little harsh maybe, and there's somebody in the comments here being even a Scottish person. By request only is Scottish. That's his excuse. He's being he's being a little harsh. Just like, well, everybody wants to start their own thing, you know Like,
Mhm.
why does everybody got to start their own thing? We can't work together. We can't be collaborative. If you're going to be like, oh, everybody join me, everybody, why doesn't everybody want to work together? Because everybody wants to start their own thing. Like, we can't
Mhm.
all start our own thing. We can't all be the CEO of everything,
Mhm.
Is that really the role that you want? You could still be a leader, and I really appreciate you taking leadership and having this vision and wanting to see it through. So I'm not saying you shouldn't be a leader. It's just you don't necessarily have to be the leader of a 501c3 in order to be the leader of fulfilling this purpose.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's collaboration is huge. I don't think that the ultimate goal of ending food apartheid and ending wellness disparities, like it's a very, it's three words, but it's monumental, and it's not going to happen. It's certainly not going to happen with, a business model that's capitalistic in nature, because a lot of capitalism is very exploitive. It's going to take a different kind of model, a worker co-op model. It's going
Mm-hmm.
to take a nonprofit model, and it's going to really take everyone, working together. Which, yeah, I found even in the nonprofit world, where everyone is, we have hearts of gold, and we may have the same missions and stuff. It's hard to get people to work together. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's hard to get people to work together just within 3 mile radius. Everyone's got, we've got cause fatigue. There's so many different social issues and causes to get involved with that need to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so teamwork, collaboration is
Mm-hmm.
it's a huge pillar, and I love the idea of offsetting a lot of the initial expensive administrative and grant writing and filing and all that stuff, by working with other organizations
Mm-hmm.
to, you get cross promotion.
Mm-hmm.
They get help with what they're doing, you get
Mm-hmm.
some help with what
Yeah.
you're doing, and then you know I just don't see anything within an immediate radius of where I am in each of these locations where we're,
Mm-hmm.
working to set up regional chapters. Um, I don't see many organizations in the immediate vicinities that are making an impact.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the impact was being made, people wouldn't be starving. We'd see cancer and degenerative diseases and diabetes and heart disease. We'd be seeing those rates dropping.
Mm-hmm.
So by the numbers alone, that tells me we need more gardens. We need more
Yeah.
people. We
I
need more
agree. We need
nonprofits.
more. It's just we don't need more administrative.
We don't need more bureaucracy.
Right, exactly. Creating your own is creating more bureaucracy. If there is an organization out there that already has the bureaucracy set up to do exactly what you're doing,
Sure.
then just you being,
Yeah.
locations of their network would be more efficient than creating your own that would compete with them. So it's
Right.
just something to look into. And it might be that nobody's doing exactly what you're doing. It might be that the only other community garden networks out there are not about regenerative. They're just, here's some chemicals, dump them on your garden. They might not have the same consciousness or the same values as you, in which case, totally. Let's start a different organization.
It's
Let's
just
do it.
not being done how I want it, how I would like
I
to see it done.
understand. I can be the same way. I totally get it. But you got to do the research to find
Yeah.
out if that's
Yeah.
true.
I, I,
There might be an organization also that's flexible enough to let you do things the way you want. And the way to grow this organically would be to work under an umbrella for a while.
get your feet wet. Yeah.
Until you get it big enough that you actually need your own.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
because paperwork and yeah,
It's a
the
lot. It's a
it's
lot.
mundane and it's difficult, and yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just keeping up with it is a headache. Okay, okay. So we're over a little over time, but I know you're usually pretty flexible. We got a couple questions left. Let's see if